Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. And we have a very special guest today. It is episode 12 of the CFC podcast, and we have Ayden and Eberhardt, receiver of the BC Lions. Thanks for joining us, Ayden.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So it's funny. We were talking about this just before we went on. It is kind of interesting finally having someone on from the States who isn't from Texas, although you kind of said that there's an asterisk on that.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Hey, let's just put this straight. Your profile says Loveland, Colorado, so we're going by your profile.
Yep. I'll claim Loveland, Colorado. I'll claim it.
I was about to say, we're apparently going by the profile and not just going by talking to the dude, okay? So obviously this past year and the year prior, you've been with the Lions, although I think that definitely this year has been like your first real full season, played in all 18 games. But kind of bringing it back, what was it like growing up in Loveland, Colorado, and what was your experience playing sports growing up? About till the end of high school.
Yeah, so growing up, my mom danced, and my dad, he played football, basketball, baseball. So their big thing was just to put me in everything. I think I started soccer at like 2 years old, even though it was like a 4-year-old like league or whatever. So I was just a little bobblehead kind of running around everywhere.
There you go.
But no, they really pushed to, keep me in sports and, kind of try everything, make sure I got a good taste of all the sports and, in the end, pick whatever one that you want or like the most. And so high school, I ended up going with football, baseball, and basketball. And, in middle school, I did a little bit of track and all that kind of stuff. But always growing up, it was always, football and baseball were kind of my top two. And then basketball was kind of for fun, especially because when I went to high school as a freshman, I was 5'3", so I had a pretty good idea.
Yeah,
I probably wasn't
basketball.
That wasn't gonna work.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. Obviously, I'm a super competitive person, so I still wanted to win and do all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, that was always just kind of for fun and to be able to play with my teammates and my friends. It was awesome. High school, senior year, I played quarterback, or I guess throughout all of my high school career, I played quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And senior year, we made the state playoffs or whatever. And I think they took 16 teams and we were the 13th seed. We ended up upsetting the number 1, 4, and
nice.
Oh, that feels good.
It was awesome, and we made it to the state playoff or the state championship, but we ended up losing. But it was an awesome ride. Great to be winning games, and just to be able to make it there was a journey in itself. And so that was great. Junior year, I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. Sorry, but
no, bounce all you want. This is great.
Yeah. So junior year is kind of when recruiting and everything kind of started off. I talked to some D2 schools like Colorado School of Mines, Northern Arizona, some other kind of local schools. And I ended up talking to Wyoming for quite a bit, starting my junior year and into my senior year. And they were, the one team that every week, Coach AJ Cooper, my dog, he would always call me from Wyoming, and he'd call me and just, check in. Hey, I saw your stats. Great game. Kind of talk some shop. So it felt right. And then we had a little visit, a walk-on visit. So they brought all the walk-ons up, and it was great being able to see the facilities, talk to the coaches. And it was funny because I always was I'm a quarterback. I'm about 6 foot-ish. I'm 160 pounds soaking wet. So I have a feeling that I know that I can play quarterback, but I think that, I ran the ball too in high school. And so I kind of had a feeling that, some teams are going to look at me as a wide receiver. And when I went up to the Wyoming visit, Coach Mike Grant, he kind of came walking around and he was like, you're Ayden, the running quarterback, right? And I was like, yep, that's me. And he was like, I'm Coach Grant. You're going to be a wide receiver. So come with me. And so since then, it's been wide receiver ever since. And he taught me a lot. It was awesome to be able to learn from him. He played at Nebraska as a quarterback, which I thought was very beneficial because, even in meetings, like we thought the same, so we could see like defenses and we're like, okay, this should be the first read and the progression, stuff like that. So, we were on the same wavelength. So it was awesome for him to be able to have that experience as a quarterback, but know what he wanted in a wide receiver and how to kind of translate that or like talk to me to help me out. So that helped a lot. He's a great guy off the field, but a great coach on the field. So I was blessed with that opportunity. And I think about a year and a half in, I ended up earning a scholarship. And then I played out the rest of my career at Wyoming. And my senior year, I think it was about 6 or 7 games in, I ended up tearing my ACL and meniscus, and that ended my college career.
Yeah.
So I kind of got surgery, and about a month after surgery, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So that was another, kind of
worse.
A little obstacle that I had to, even now, kind of continuing to get through. But obviously now it's a lot easier to figure out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that happened, and so it was really my knee and my diabetes that I was trying to figure out kind of all in one while I'm rehabbing my knee so that I can get back to playing football or at least get a shot somewhere.
Just a lot on your plate, yeah.
Yeah, and my agent ended up, reaching out, and he's like, "Hey, BC Lions up in Vancouver, CFL, they want to at least get you up for camp and see what you can do." And after, I think it ended up being a year and a couple months of kind of rehabbing and training, went up to camp and made the squad. So it all worked out, the best way possible because I love it up in BC, but that's basically the journey that I've kind of had so far.
So I have a general question for you, for us Canadian fans. Yep. So these visits that Americans have with universities, what specifically goes on? Because I know those people that play NCAA, you gotta bring your prospects in for visits and everything.
Just send you an email or just show up at your house. Go to college. Go to college. Go.
No, but I'm just curious, obviously, your parents go, you guys walk around, you meet the universities and everything, and I know some people commit, say, okay, we're coming to this university, and then some do it on National Signing Day. But what goes on behind when you go to visit a university?
Yeah, so when you go to visit a university, I think generally it's usually going to be, you're going to go for like a game day visit. So you're going to show up, go to the game. They're going to give you some dinner. You're going to talk to the coaches. The coaches are going to talk to your parents. They're going to talk to you, talk about the interests, that they have in you, how they think they can, use you, but also what they have to offer regarding obviously school, obviously football, what they can do for your career and how they can progress you both on and off the field. And then usually after the game, they've got designated, usually it's kind of like red shirts and kids that aren't necessarily playing, but they're going to be playing at some point. They're still obviously part of the program. They practice every day. And you'll hang out with, your host, and they'll just kind of take you out for the night and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the main part of it is basically you'll talk with the coaches and kind of get a tour of the campus, tour of the facilities, and you'll talk to the strength coach, the academic coordinators, the whole 9 yards, basically introducing you to anyone and everyone that you're going to be possibly working with But yeah, that's basically how a visit works, and at least how my visits worked. Were just basically game days, and then talk with the coaches, see, you can kind of get a vibe if they're interested in you based on if they have kept up with you, slash, like for example, Wyoming, they called me almost, Coach Cooper called me like every weekend, and we would talk for about an hour just about football. And then after that, it was just, whatever. And so just kind of building a relationship to where once you get to that game day visit or the visit, whatever it is, you kind of know who's, trying to get you there, and at least have a kind of friendly or familiar face. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. 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 So I I did only play quarterback in high school. I really wanted to play DB. I was pretty good, not to toot my own horn, but I was pretty good at safety. So like middle school, I would play like linebacker, like a safety, and I loved to hit. And that was like a huge like that makes the game fun, right? Um, yeah, I was gonna say exactly. Just like hockey, you always just want to hit them. And so really, I kind of went in thinking, okay, I can possibly go both ways. Um, but once I started playing quarterback in high school, they were like, hey, we don't, we've got some guys that can play DB. It's all good, and
Like, damn.
we want you super healthy, and we don't want something dumb to happen on defense to where we're out of quarterback. So unfortunately, as much as it pained me, I was not able to play both ways in high school. Even though I thought I could have. That's gonna always be up for debate. But yeah, so that's I always only played high school or quarterback in high school, and then going to Wyoming, we had we had Josh Allen. So
Oh my
I,
goodness.
I,
Oh.
I was like, yeah, you know what, I'll play receiver.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
he hasn't done too bad, has he?
yeah,
So,
no, he's doing pretty well.
yeah. So, and then you had mentioned how then through kind of that process you had went to Wyoming, and you talked a bit about the experience through the football program there. But how was Wyoming University, not even just in a football sense, just in a general sense, moving to Wyoming and experience at the college there?
Yeah, so Wyoming, it's in Laramie, and it's kind of I would say a little smaller town.
Yep.
But it's like that. It's a college town, so you see Wyoming posters everywhere. Everyone shows up to the games, and so it makes the atmosphere really fun. I know you didn't say about football aspect, but that's
Just
a
in
little
general,
bit.
whole thing that
Yeah,
includes football.
yeah. So it made all the events fun, whether it was football, going to basketball, volleyball games, anything like that. And anyone and everyone was super invested within the college. And Laramie is a pretty small town to where everything's maybe 10, 15 minutes away at the very, very max. So everyone would always show up to all the events, which again made everything really cool. Laramie, from my front doorstep, is probably about an hour 10 minutes. So it wasn't like a super crazy move for me. But it is a little bit more windy there compared to, I'm back in Colorado right now. So compared to where I'm at now, and it does snow a little bit more. And so weather was a little different, but still, like Colorado, it's kind of the same, just probably more wind more than anything. So that wasn't like a crazy shock to me. But the campus was beautiful, and more than anything, the people were awesome. They were all in on Wyoming. Whether it was fans, teachers, professors, people working, at the restaurants or anything like that. It was really cool because you'd be walking to class and you'd see, the same kind of group of people, or you'd be going to your classes, depending on, your major or whatever, and you'd have the same couple of people that you'd see within, the big old class or whatever. So I did like that aspect of it because you at least kind of knew a couple of different people that would be in your class. Obviously, like the football team and a couple of my roommates and everything, they were business majors just like me. So it was nice to be able to kind of go to class together, and it just all worked out. But I think the biggest aspect is, one, just everyone is bought in on Wyoming. They're huge fans. And then two, it's unbelievably beautiful. Even the drive from my house up to Laramie it can be a little scary sometimes if there's some snow and some wind, but it is beautiful with mountains and everything. So I enjoyed it a lot.
That's awesome. I think Rick, you had one there.
Yeah, just quick question before I ask my next one. So, do you remember Friday Night Lights, where everything in the city would close down and everyone would go to the game?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what it was like?
It was okay. So not necessarily to that extent to where everything would close, but restaurants and everywhere, they'd be playing the games and everyone would go to the games.
That was the focus.
Restaurants and bars, to where it wasn't necessarily that small, but it was that same kind of vibe, I guess, where everyone was either going to be going out to the game or they're going to go be, at a restaurant or at a bar watching the game.
Yeah, no, that reminds me. I had family friends who used to live down in Gainesville, Florida. Home of the Gators, and so it was very much like that. Where I've never been to a college football game in my life. I'd love to go. At least none like in the States, where it's a lot bigger there than it is here, but it's still decent here. But I just remember I think it was the Rose Bowl, and the Gators were playing in it. And we were at a restaurant there, and I was looking around thinking, holy shit. They had like taken the TVs down and assembled them together. like put them together like this ultimate Transformer TV big screen just to get the game going. And then it was just, it was crazy. So it reminded me a little of that. Yeah.
That's how most colleges are. They love their football.
I love that.
So next question is, what's your best college memory? One football, one non-football.
That's really, really tough. So I would say for the football one, it was probably our Arizona Bowl. And I think it was my junior year. I ended up having like a 52-yard touchdown, and we won the bowl game, that kind of stuff. But after the game and everything, we got back to the hotel, having fun and just kind of hanging out. And ESPN's like playing in the background, and then everyone starts like clapping and like starts like nudging me, and they're like, Ayden, and I was kind of like, wait, what? And I ended up being like number 3. I think it was 3. I was on the like ESPN like top 10 plays or whatever.
There you
go. Of the week.
Yeah, so I ended up being on that, so that was pretty cool. Another thing I would say it ties it probably was catching for Josh in his pro day. That was awesome. Just because I walked in, the first person I saw was Troy Aikman, and I was like, oh snap! And then you could see all the like NFL coaches. So that was also really really cool and an awesome experience. Non-football one. That one's super tough. It would have to be going to. There was this restaurant called Born in a Barn, and they had peanut butter and jelly wings. And so it would be me and the boys. We would just go to Born in a Barn and get some peanut butter and jelly wings. You know, a little bit of drinks, and then go out for the night. So that was kind of like the precursor, like our little dinner, and then we would go out after that. So peanut butter and jelly wings, unbelievable. The best you've ever had.
Like, okay, I gotta ask. I've never heard of peanut butter and jelly. I'm not gonna lie. I've had a decent amount of wings before. Never had that. So is it like on the same wing or? Like,
yeah, it's like just normal. Like you could get like 20 wings, and it's just peanut butter and jelly sauce, kind of like mixed together, and it's just drizzled, or I guess all of them are like coated in it, basically.
That was great.
Unbelievable! It's awesome.
You know what? I'll take your word for it. I've never had that, and I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of me that is confused by that, but I'll take your word for it.
You know what? Now that you look at it, it actually doesn't look too bad.
Okay, hold on a second, Rick. Here, you continue. I gotta search this.
Hold on, Carter. I'll send this to you over on Discord.
Oh yeah, please do.
It kind of reminds me.
Oh yeah,
of
by the way, Ayden, this is the way stuff. We just roll on the fly. We got stuff that happens, and then we're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, go check your Discord. That
actually looks like some of like normal wings. Okay, I was you have to realize I was imagining this brown peanut butter and like blueberry jam concoction of like something that looks like would give you the worst case of like food poisoning, but it actually looks normal. Okay.
Yeah.
So at least anyone that's listening to this, if you're in Colorado, go have the peanut butter and jelly wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we say that as 1/3 of us has tried it, but they look decent. They do.
Yeah. It's super confusing, and like it blows your mind. You don't know what to expect, but once you try them, I promise you, they are at least top 3 wings you've ever had in your life.
Dang, that's a bold promise.
It is bold, I know.
You know what though? That gets me enough to try it though.
That's good.
Because in the picture you see more of the jam than peanut butter. When you actually eat it, do you even taste the peanut butter, or do you taste more jam?
You probably taste a little bit more peanut butter with I'd say it's about 65-35 peanut butter to jelly.
Nice.
But there is more jelly. The peanut butter it's a strong taste, so it's going to take over a little bit more, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you tell someone what kind of wings are these, they're probably gonna be like, "Oh, that sounds disgusting." No thanks.
Well, it's funny. The second you said that, I'm like, I'm gonna need to learn more about this. This is new information. I feel like, you know what it is. Every time we have something. It's funny when you describe it. Like the first thing I think of, I'm like, that's some American shit right there. Peanut butter and jelly on wings. Like this is peak American cuisine right here. And so I always find it fascinating, as I feel like even though I've traveled all around the States, I still find out about new stuff here and there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You would think that if someone's eating that, you have like a bowl of peanut butter, a bowl of jam, you just take the wing, dump it in the peanut butter.
Here's my thing. I wonder. It's like, if you don't know someone who's had this before, and let's just say, like, I don't know, maybe from Iceland, and you're traveling to the States on vacation, you've never seen America, and you open the menu, and you're looking through, and you're like, what the hell is this? And so, like, I'm trying to imagine how that works.
Yeah. A lot of people are probably scared of it.
Well,
I love that. That's got to be the selling point. It's like our food is so good it terrifies people. Like,
So
they run out of the restaurant.
So, Ayden, I will say, if BC ever goes to Toronto, the last week of August.
Oh, I was about to say, if BC ever goes to Toronto, I'm pretty sure they go there every year, Rick.
No. I'm saying the last week of August they have the C&E game. You want to see some screwed up food? You have like ketchup and mustard ice cream. Like, if you want to see some of like the messed up food, go to the C&E the last 2 weeks of August, and you'll see like some messed up.
Yeah.
All right, bet.
I was about to say, the way you describe it sounds like the local hospitals dread it. It
just seems like that would be something like you would go to like the C&E and like eat.
Yeah. Nice. I'll have to try it out for sure.
Alrighty, so with the with college football, it's a bit interesting as there's a lot of stuff about college football that Canadians do understand, and then there's a lot of stuff that Canadians do not understand. And one of those things would definitely be probably, I would say, redshirting. So can you explain to the CFL fans what exactly redshirting is and how that kind of works, as it's not really something we're that familiar with?
Absolutely. So redshirting basically is, so first off, I'll take a step back. You get 4 years of eligibility, 4 years of playing.
Yep.
So redshirting is, they changed the rule compared to when I was there. When I was there, you couldn't take a snap. But now I think you can play in up to 4 games and still redshirt. And so redshirting is basically you're going to be on the scout team. You're going to be practicing, doing all the things, but you just won't be playing in all of the games.
Okay.
And now it's up to 4 games, but that year is not going to count towards your eligibility. And so really it's almost a year to, like I said, I walked in 160 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
And so it's a year to put on weight, get familiar with the playbook, all the things, get more acclimated to college football, and just figure out the game, I guess, in general.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I guess I would explain it as like developmental year.
Okay.
And then after your year of redshirting, you then have your 4 years to play. You're eligible for all the games, and you can do anything and everything.
Okay.
But it used to be to where you couldn't take a snap, but now I think it's set up to where you can play in 4 games, and then after 4 games, you can't play in any other games. But
Okay.
then reset.
So it's basically you go for 6 years, but you're really playing for 5. In a sense.
In a way, it's 5. It's technically 5 and then 4.
Okay, yeah.
But I was in COVID, so for me it was really kind of 6 and 5.
Yeah.
So interesting thing. So I found those pictures.
Oh boy.
Okay. So we have the
Rick, can you send me those pictures? I'm gonna send them to Ayden. Well, okay. Rick, your green screen is getting in the way, my guy.
Okay, hold on.
If you could send them to me.
Yeah.
Over
the first one is the soft shell fried crab.
Where are you sending it to me?
Oh, I'm gonna send it to you on Discord.
Okay.
It's literally a spicy mayo on the side to dip it in, so it's basically a whole crab deep fried.
Ooh.
You have avocado coconut ice cream. There is this one is a popsicle was stuffed with amazing tomato sauce.
I like ketchup, so I might be down with that one.
So this one, it looks like a popsicle. I'll have to send it to you.
Here, yeah. Actually, if you can send them over as you're talking about them, so I could.
This one is a fruity pebble coated fried chicken.
That might actually be really, really good.
Okay, hold on.
I don't have it yet.
Yeah, hold on. I'm sending them to you right now. So the first one's the crab.
I'm scared what the hell is going to pop up onto my phone.
Just see the pictures.
Okay, so here, I'm going to forward the crab over to you. That's the crab, Ayden.
The last one is
feel free to take a look, even if
chicken,
it gets rid of the camera there for a second.
My taco.
I can still hear it at least here. Ooh.
And what was the second one? I'm sending him the second one now.
Yeah, so the second one was avocado coconut ice cream.
Ooh.
Third one? Oh, nope, that's wrong. I set the meeting code again. Whoops. There you go. That's the third one there. And what is that?
Okay.
Rick, what's the third one?
Yeah, so the third one is the popsicle that was stuffed with amazing tomato sauce. So I'm assuming I don't know if it's like meat or something, but it was holy moly cannoli.
And the fourth one?
On a popsicle stick. And the fourth one is the Fruity Pebble fried chicken.
And the last one?
And then the last one was Los Vietnamita chicken Maya taco. So I guess... Oh, yeah, because you can see the wrap. So the last one's a taco.
Ooh.
Like I said, there's many different weird things that you'd see at the CNE that you will not eat.
Yeah, anywhere else.
There's deep fried Oreos.
Ooh,
I've had deep fried Oreos before. I've had those. They're really good. They're more like a brownie.
Yeah,
I found.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's good.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd share some of the interesting things that you see down there.
I think I'd try everything except for the avocado coconut ice cream. I don't think I could try that.
Or the ketchup and mustard ice cream.
I would try that because I do love ketchup. Like I put it on eggs sometimes, and I mean sometimes mac and cheese.
I absolutely put on mac and cheese. Good old Kraft dinner, absolutely.
I haven't had that since I was a kid, but you sound like you're the Frank's hot sauce, where you put that beep on everything, like the ketchup on everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There you
go. So going back to what you're explaining, so
football.
What was it like to play during COVID? Because I mean, here in Canada, when we had CFL, which it seems like that long ago when this happened, we actually could only have so many fans in the seats. Like it wasn't something where you had to sit every other seat. But you could only have, like, I would say, like 65% of the capacity.
Dang.
Other teams are going to hate me when we say this, but we hosted Grey Cup that year. But then 2 years later, we got it back again because we couldn't do all of the activities during Grey Cup week.
I was about to say, why am I complaining about that? We won both of those. That was fine for me, Rick.
Hey, I will say
Holston and Hamilton every year. Come on, let's do it.
I don't mean anything bad towards the BC owner. Mind, we had Green Day. You guys had the Jonas Brothers. So listen.
Yeah.
So I think you had another one in there.
Yeah. So. Next one is...
Wait, Ayden was about to say something. Hold on a second. I want to hear this.
Amar, I think, is... I mean, this is... You guys are probably... Everyone's going to think this is biased, but Amar is a heck of an owner, and he really does a great job with the marketing and
I know.
Games.
Hands down,
I don't think that's a biased take at all. The Lions... The turnaround in a whole bunch of it's a much more thriving business than it was before. The attendance, all that, like even like I've been to Vancouver before and after that purchase, and it's one of those things where afterwards it's like, okay, if I take the subway, I actually see a Lion. Like people that maybe aren't always watching the Lions they'll see something and they're like, oh, the Lions are playing. This is their season. Like there are some places like. That's kind of one thing I think that
Toronto.
For in Winnipeg, there's a little bit of pride on is that you go anywhere, you see Bomber signs everywhere. And then I remember going to Toronto and I was told they existed. But it just wasn't the same. And so I think there's been a big turnaround in BC. And so, if people don't agree with every decision he's made, absolutely, that's fair. I don't think there's very many owners where people will say that that their shit don't stink. But I think he has been a very much a net win for BC and for the Lions and all that.
Yeah.
I will say this though, as an owner, he lets his money he lets his pockets do the talking. You guys had LL Cool J for home opener.
Oh yeah, it was sweet. There was
50 Cent.
There was 50,000 people at 50 Cent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and even I had a buddy who was at that game for that, and one thing that I think was really important, because I think there's a lot of people online commenting that there were some people that had went there for the concert. He sent me a picture of it during the fourth quarter. There was still a lot of people there. It was not like everyone came for that concert and left. That was just not the situation. And so maybe 50 Cent was what got him in the door.
Absolutely.
But I mean, of course it did. It's 50 Cent. But this is how you market. This is how you get people in there. And then they see the game and, wait, you know what? This is a lot of fun. And then they decide to go to more. It's a great business strategy. Got to spend money to make money.
If you really think about it, okay. So you look at 50 Cent, you look at a football game. Probably the cheapest ticket in BC. I've never been to BC, so I don't know. Probably $50-$60, depending on where you sit. Okay, so that's a $25 ticket to go see a 50 Cent, which would normally cost you $200-$300 just for a ticket. And then on top of it, you get to go see
and you get a football game.
Yeah. And half it's a football game. So I mean,
yeah,
why not? Yeah. No, I think he's been doing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know what it used to be like before he was there, but as long as I've been there, he's been doing a great job of marketing and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a huge fan of his.
And that's all you can ask for, really. There's really nothing more you can ask for, and so yeah, it's definitely been good in BC in that regard. Now, one thing I'm a little bit interested in here, and this is something I find interesting whenever we have players that have come from the States now coming up here playing in Canada, which is what are the pros and cons of Canadian football rules, and field size is included, all the differences between Canadian football and American football compared to what you're used to down in the States. Example would be like a field size, the waggle, all sorts of stuff that make Canadian football different from the American game.
Yeah. So I think the waggle, probably is the biggest thing for me that has kind of changed the game, because usually down in the States, I know my route's at 15, we'll say 15 yards. And, I've got my inside or outside foot up, but I've got a pretty good idea to where I can almost count my steps to where I know, okay, on my fourth inside step, I know by that time, if I break on that, I'm going to be at 15. So I really don't have to necessarily be looking at the yardages and trying to add up and, do all that, to where I can just kind of base my route off that. And with the waggle, it kind of does change it, because you're sprinting full speed, where you kind of have to relearn, okay, if I'm on the waggle, once I hit this step, this is where I'm going to have to break, or,
yep.
If they're going to try to bump, as a linebacker, or if they're playing press, I'm going to have to change it up, just kind of down in the States, to where then I'm going to have to look a little bit more at the yardages, or add another step into my count to hit my yardage. And then on top of that, being able to use the waggle on whether it's leverage, on how you attack someone, because obviously you never want to run right at someone, because then they're just going to stay exactly where they're at. You want to be able to move a defender, so that helps out tremendously in that regard, because you get to play around with, okay, I can start here, kind of come at an angle, or in general, I can start, wherever your mark is, 7, 8, 9 yards back, and I have to be able to time it out. But once I see my signal, I can sprint full speed, knowing that I'm going to be onside and still going to make it close to where I'm around the line of scrimmage by the time the ball snapped. But it's a big advantage being able to use the waggle because there's so many different things that you can add into it. Again, whether it's leverage or being able to sprint full speed or be able to start at 70% and then hit 100% and then stop, or being able to mix it up and kind of vary your waggle and all that kind of stuff. So I think that that's something that is very tricky to learn because you have to know your quarterback. You have to know, on your signal, where can I stand, what yardage, where do I have to be at by the time he hits the signal. Just being able to play with that in general has been awesome and super fun, and that's a whole new dynamic to the game that the States don't have. Don't get me wrong, they've done like motions and stuff like that, but if you watch a CFL game compared to a US game, you see
it's a noticeable difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Obviously another defender that adds different coverages or different things that the defense and I guess the offense can kind of add into or do. But being able to kind of see the defense, and I think that that's what I liked a lot in my first year was, being able to learn from Alex Hollins, Hatcher, Rhymes, Lucky, McInnes, everybody, Katoy, being able to learn from them, when, different hints or tips or tricks on, okay, if you see this, it's going to be this defense. Or if you're running this route and you see this coverage, you want to do this versus the other coverage, you want to do this. So it's been really cool it was really cool to be able to learn from them. And that whole aspect, especially with another defender, because that's a whole nother person that you kind of have to account for. I think an interesting rule is that's really kind of different, and it feels so weird doing because in the States it's like the opposite of what you want to do, but like the last touch rule. So if it's a fumble, you can just hit it out. The last person touch it, their ball.
Yeah, that's actually probably the only rule I can think of. Because I'm a big fan of the Canadian game, what I'm used to. I think that's the only rule where I kind of actually prefer the American version, where it's just kind of like you're being rewarded for killing the play. Like, isn't this why we didn't want to use the fair catch rule in Canada? Like, wasn't it the same argument?
I will just say the dumbest rule that the Americans have now, no offense, Ayden, but it's the kickoff rule.
I will say though, I prefer it over waving to the referee to kill the play. I prefer that because at least you got some sort of action.
Yeah, I do. I agree with you in that aspect of being able to. It's a little bit more action compared to being able to wave it off. But I do like the CFL or the CFL rules because it seems like there's a lot more kickoff returns and obviously punt returns because you can't fair catch
with the no yards rule.
Yeah, so I think it's really it adds a whole nother true dimension.
I mean, totally does.
In the American game, special teams is huge still, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But there's just having those couple nuances of no fair catch and different things like that. Like they got to be on their on their marks every single play on special teams to be able to knock a punt down or, flip the field in that aspect. So I do think that that's the special teams rules are, make it a little more action packed in the CFL. Along with the third down, 3 downs for a first down, technically compared to 4 downs. I think that brings another, value to where it kind of speeds up the game a little bit, and then obviously
got to be a little more bold sometimes.
Yeah, and then the 3-minute warning. The 3-minute warning is almost the start of another quarter because it can last.
It drags it out.
So I think that also brings another whole kind of quicker tempo almost to the game compared to the States.
It's not even that. Just like the amount of time that you have for plays down in the States, it's almost like half an hour for like 15 plays. It's like, oh my god, like and then you go up here and then it's like 20 minutes. It's like, oh geez, we're already into like halfway through the game already.
Yeah,
that's true.
Absolutely.
Now, before we get too far away, because there's one thing I also want to add in about the kickoff the rules kind of difference between what the NFL has now in the CFL that I find a little interesting is I very much prefer the rules that they have now for kickoff in the NFL over the fair catch. Although the one thing I still find a little bit interesting is because the lineup, like the way you line up for the kick is still kind of in the same as it in the CFL as it used to be in the NFL, in the way that you lined up for the kick. It's still allowed for essentially the surprise onside kick. As I think in the NFL, I don't think you can do that anymore with the way they line up now. If you're going for the onside kick, you basically have to tell the other team, because like I do like that, even though it's very rare that you see it like in an instance like a surprise onside kick, as most of the time you see an onside kick, it's because the team really needs points and it's everyone knows they're doing it. But I even remember, like, as a Bomber fan, not this year, but last year when I was at Labor Day, the Saskatchewan did it to start the game against us, and they did it successfully. Now, obviously, as a Bomber fan, I hated that. I was livid. But I don't think that's something they should take out of the game. It's awesome that a play like that's even possible. And it makes something interesting, and well, TSN's got another thing they can put on their highlight reel. So,
since you want to bring that up, Carter, should we bring up the Antwi scrub kick? Like, could you imagine like someone in the NFL pulling that off? Like, I'm sure that would be like the biggest story down in the States. Like, just like do like a rugby kick it, run up 10 yards, and.
It's that's another rule that's like you have to like kind of, I guess, train yourself a little bit to like be ready for, like, expect
anything and everything.
That Alouettes onside punt.
Yeah,
that's always.
So the next question is: are there any CFL or NFL receivers, past or present, that you would admire or draw an inspiration for in your career?
Adam Thielen. So
there was no hesitation with that.
Zero whatsoever. So when I went to Wyoming, they gave me number 19 right away, and there were a couple, walk-ons that had some like crazy numbers and all that kind of thing. So I was like, you know what? I rocked with 7 back in the day, but I was a quarterback, so we're gonna try 19 out. And so I obviously watched the NFL, and Adam Thielen started blowing up, and he is probably someone that I try to model my game after, or I've tried to model my game after, because if you watched him, I mean, even now, whether it's route running, he just knows when to get open, where the holes in the defense are, just being able to kind of have that knowledge and being able to see that while he's running a route. That's something that I try to pride myself on, is being able to see where the defender is at, or being able to kind of find the hole in the zone. And then more than anything, probably his 50-50 balls. If it's thrown his way, he's either coming down with it or it's going to be defensive PI. And I think that's something that I try to model my game after, to where if the ball's coming up, it's not a 50-50, it's more like an 80-20, where I'm either coming down with it or we're getting pass interference and it's going to be a first down no matter what.
There you go.
But just also his story, he went to a smaller school in Minnesota and then kind of moved his way up. He started on special teams in the NFL and then worked his way to receiver, and obviously, going crazy from there. In Wyoming, I think obviously I played wide receiver, but I played a lot of special teams still. And this is kind of what we were talking about earlier with, back in the day when I was like a safety or linebacker, I still loved to hit people. So I loved to play special teams, whether it was kickoff or punt. I'm running down and I'm screaming and I'm going to smack something. So being able to...
Were you screaming? Like the whole play? Like just...
Not like that. More like I'm flying, like I'm falling, I'm running as fast as I can, and whatever comes in the way, I'm hitting.
It's a fear tactic.
It's
just like coming down.
You just see
like
this
Sully from Monsters Inc.
TV screen.
But yeah, I'd say Adam Thielen, just because
you'd make ESPN top 10 for all the wrong reasons. ESPN, look at this idiot on kickoff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just love Adam Thielen's game. I think he worked again more than playing wide receiver, playing football in general. I think he worked for everything that kind of has been given to him, or not given to him. He's worked for everything that he's gotten, and I like to kind of think in that mindset that if I'm going to get something, I got to work for it. So that's probably the inspiration of my game, and that's why I stuck with 19 in Wyoming, and why I ended up trying to get 19 here in BC.
Yeah. So it's funny. I have a little bit. I have a question, I guess, on the side that kind of will then lead us into the next one I had. But it's funny. I was looking through some of when I was creating our promotional video. I was looking through some footage where I saw the touchdown celebration you had, and I was just trying to think: was that the Australian breakdancer, or what? Which one was the?
Yeah,
so where did you get that?
It was just kind of something that we talked about on the fly, kind of in pregame or before the game. I don't know if because I saw the Australian, like a little breakdance kind of thing. So I didn't know if it was really that or like Fortnite or really, I don't know exactly what it was, but
you just figured it out.
Game, and I was like, all right, whoever scores, that's what we're gonna do.
Okay, so it didn't. So no matter who scored the touchdown, that's what we were gonna see.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Because I wasn't sure if that was one of those things where like you had decided that, or if it was kind of whoever gets it they're doing that, and then everyone's coming together and doing that.
Yeah. So. No, it kind of varies on the game, but if someone has something that they want to do or want to hit, like we'll save it for them, or we can just come up with something and be like, hey, if someone scores, they need to hit this, and that's just kind of how it comes up. And then sometimes on the fly to where someone just starts doing something and you got to figure it out and you start joining in and you got to figure it out.
Cameras on, guys, figure it out.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice. Well, yeah, and it's funny because that was kind of the lead up into, do you have any pregame rituals or superstitions that you swear by? Now, we've gotten a few interesting answers for this. I want to say it was either last year or the year before that we had Braylon Addison of the Ottawa Redblacks on, and he wasn't talking about one that he had, but actually that his teammate at the time, Nick Arbuckle, plays ping pong before every game, and that was his ritual. In this past year, we had AJ Allen of the Saskatchewan Roughriders on, and he had talked about that he plays chess on his phone, and that is how he gets his eyes moving and he gets ready for the game. Is there anything like that that's any superstitions, pregame rituals you have?
I think, if anything, I try to juggle a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Before every game. And then...
That makes perfect sense as a receiver.
That helps.
I will say... Nick Dembski, if you're watching this, learn to juggle because, my friend, those amount of times you were just juggling the ball and you wouldn't catch it this past year, juggling will help.
There you go. Rick, you're making friends great. Oh, my goodness, man.
I was like, oh, my Lord.
Another one, I would say, I'd say juggling, and then on top of that, this one's just weird. It doesn't help with eye coordination. It doesn't help get your mind in the game or anything like that. But I tie my left shoe twice. So I'll tie it, untie it, and then tie it again.
Yep.
And then just the typical, like once we get there, like before we warm up and stuff like that, I always read through like all of our whole script 2 times and just kind of go through on, all right, what position, what does the whole play look like? If I'm playing this position, this is how it's going to look. What do I have? What's the motion? Where am I lining up? My depth, and then kind of differentiate. All right, now in this position, go through it again, and kind of go through like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, no ping pong or nothing. I might have to add it in though.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I do have this is kind of like a BC Lions question here. So you had both Vernon Adams and Nathan Rourke as quarterbacks this past year.
Yeah.
Like, because obviously quarterbacks have different styles.
Yep.
So, like, how, like, as a wide receiver, like, how do you learn, like, the 2 different styles? Because obviously, one game, one person could play, and then you got to, like, switch on because another person could play the next game, like the different styles.
And you mentioned that affected the waggle in terms of as well how many steps you kind of need leading into that, depending on when they'll kind of call the play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to figure out. I mean, I think it probably starts with the waggle or lining up or your motion. You got to be able to know your quarterback to where you got to know, all right, if whoever's playing, you know, I'm at, we'll say 7 yards, that's my waggle, that's my mark, and I'll start running. Versus another quarterback that's playing, maybe I'm at 7.5 or 8 yards because the cadence is maybe just a touch longer, or, you know, whatever. It just times out to where that's what works. But basically, you got to learn quarterback kind of preferences and styles throughout practice, and I think it's that's probably, I mean, that's the best way to figure it out, because you got to learn on, you know, if we're going to be scrambling, what's his preference on where does he want to hit, or if I'm running a route, what window is he looking for, or, you know, what does he expect me to do if, you know, they're sitting inside and it's a curl. Does he want me to run through it, or is he going to see that and throw it to the outside? You know, just small little kind of details, I guess, that end up making a huge difference. You got to be able to know your quarterback and just kind of know their preferences and the style that they play. Depending on, you know, the person, I guess, basically.
I see. And so was that difficult when they had signed Rourke, and then he goes in and plays almost immediately? And I mean, there's no doubt on the talent that Rourke has. But again, the very quick adjustment like that, was that a little bit difficult just how quick? Because that had come together. It seemed like, at least it kind of appeared, at least to us as fans, that had come together very quickly. And it was one day he signed, and a few days later he's already on the field. And so, was that a bit kind of it just took time, maybe took a little bit of getting used to?
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. I think even for Nate to be able to come in and do what he was able to do, I mean, I think what we 2 or 3 practices was unbelievable. So I think on top of being able to know your quarterback preferences, I think another big thing is chemistry. I mean, that's kind of hand in hand with preferences and how they want you to run a route, or what window they're going to be looking for, and how they want you to run a route against a certain coverage and different things like that. I think that, you know, I think Nate did a great job, and I think us receivers did a great job on being able to build that chemistry up as quick as possible. And I think that, you know, like you said, that's something that you kind of, I mean, it takes a little bit of time in getting used to. I mean, you got a script of so many plays and so many different routes, compared to the next week, you're going to have different routes and different plays, to where being able to kind of get a couple weeks in and figure out those preferences on different routes and concepts, to where then, you know, okay, this is exactly what they want and how they want it. You know, I think all parties did a great job on that, honestly, compared to the amount of days of practice and games and all that kind of stuff. So I think it went over a lot better than probably most people could have probably expected.
Yeah, that's fair. So one thing we always find interesting is just kind of how some people get into football and whatnot. So what is advice that you would give to young athletes that are aspiring to get into the professional level and play some professional football?
Okay, so I think I'd start off with saying, play any position that you're being asked to play. A lot of people, they'll say, I'm a quarterback, I'm a wide receiver, I'm a running back. And again, this might be biased because it's kind of, you know, my journey was I started off as a quarterback and went to wide receiver, also played some special teams. But if you can get on the field and put film on your ability to catch the ball, run, tackle, score touchdowns, you know, whatever it may be, That's just more and more film for people to see. But I do think the number one thing is, especially, again, this is probably biased because it's kind of what I went through, is it doesn't matter your height or size. If you keep working and you really love it the way, a lot of people say they love football until they get tackled. So if you really love football and it's what you want to do, it doesn't matter what size, height, anything like that. Like, you just got to keep working at it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, just keep working at it and believe. And even though, people say different things, outsiders, all that kind of stuff, none of it matters because it's your journey and you're the only one that gets to make it. Because, like I said kind of earlier, I went to high school and I was 5'3" as a freshman quarterback. And so obviously with that, there's going to be some naysayers and different things like that. So just being able to prove them wrong, I think is always a great feeling. And that's kind of how you are able to kind of fuel that work. But on the flip side, a lot of people get caught up in saying, I don't prove the haters wrong, this and that. But for me, I had a core support system. So I think on the flip side of being able to prove your haters wrong, it's also big for you to prove your supporters right. Yeah. So being able to, work and, get the success that you deserve is always huge. But
for sure.
At the end of the day, it's your journey, and don't let anyone, whether it's a coach, family, maybe friends, anything like that, don't let anyone else tell you what you can or can't do.
Yeah.
I mean, to go on another side note, I don't know if you remember him, Brandon Banks. He played in Hamilton for I want to say 99% of his career before he went to Toronto for the 1 year. This guy was 5'6", 5'7", 155 as a receiver in the CFL.
Dang.
It brings me back to those days, even like Martin St. Louis when he was in the NHL. Like, he was like the smallest forward.
Yeah.
As long as you can, like you said, prove them wrong and you have the skill, it doesn't matter. You could be 5'5" for all you know.
And that's the thing I think that is so interesting about football, is that for how aggressive of a sport, how violent of a sport it is, there really is no limitations in terms of this guy is too small. It just means that you're probably playing a different position. 5'3", probably not going to be on the offensive line most likely, unless you're real capable in ways that are unbeknownst to man. But there's a spot for everyone, and I definitely think that when it comes to that kind of prove the haters wrong mentality, I definitely agree that there's an aspect of that that's good. I agree with you that can be, if that's your sole focus, then that can, I think it works best as a bonus when you have a support system that is really rooting for you and you're trying to satisfy that, and then you get through and then you're like, oh yeah, and I pissed off such and such. This is great. It's probably best as a bonus, I think.
Yep. You hit the nail on the head. That's at least my thought of it too. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
So the next question is, now this is going back to week 13. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but what was it like to catch your very first CFL pass against the Ottawa Red Blacks week 13? Mind you, everyone, he did go 4 for 4 and catching and for 58 yards.
Yeah. Ottawa. So that was a Victoria game, right?
It was August 31st. You had a 33-yard pass that game. Was your longest
for a touchdown though, right?
I believe so. I might have to go back and look.
Yep. I think that was my first touchdown in the CFL ever.
Yeah, that was, because I compared it to. Yeah, that was the Victoria game.
Yep. That game in general was awesome. I think all sides were clicking, offense, defense, special teams. So it was awesome to be able to see that, because that's what you want to see at the end of the day. An offense isn't, or a team isn't going to work if only the offense is scoring, or a team isn't going to work if only the defense is stopping, or the special teams is only doing good. It's all three facets of the game that really kind of matter, and being able to be cohesive with that is huge. So that was, I think, a game that every side, every facet of the game was working, and an extra little bonus to be able to catch the first touchdown and be able to kind of have that feeling and kind of get the monkey off the back a little bit, of getting the first touchdown. That was pretty awesome. So I had a lot of fun with that game. Also with being in Victoria for that game, it was awesome to be able to go to Victoria, practice there, see all the fans and all the fans that showed up for the game. They were definitely ready for the game, and they showed up, and it was awesome to be able to see all of that, especially in a different site than kind of normal. So it was really cool, and I'd never been to Victoria before that, so it was cool to kind of be able to experience it and kind of see another side of Canada.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, you guys are the BC Lions, not the Vancouver Lions. So it was probably nice to kind of still have that hometown feel, or home field, I guess, over in Victoria. Now, one thing I do find a little bit interesting, and this is would be here in Canada, when it comes to playing football, weather conditions are always interesting in football in the sense of that it's very much they will play unless there's lightning. But then obviously with Canadian winters eventually coming in, that really can really test some people. Weather conditions can have a significant impact on the game. What's the most challenging weather that you've had to play in? And how did you adapt? How did you do? And what is your favorite weather to play in? Just kind of as a last bit to that.
That one's tough. I think the most challenging weather to play in as a receiver, I think, is rain. You just got to be able to squeeze the ball. It's really tough because even the routine catches, you really got to make sure that you come up with it. And sometimes it can just kind of shoot straight through the hands. People wear gloves or they go like no gloves. Kind of a little bit of a debate there. But I think that's probably the most challenging.
Are you gloves or no gloves?
I think I'm team gloves, no matter what.
Fair enough.
Yep. Unless it's like an absolute like monsoon where it's nothing but water everywhere and the ball is going to be, drenched the entire time. I think I'm team gloves. I do like playing in the, obviously great weather, just sun. I don't know what you guys would kind of say. I think it's like maybe 16 degrees Celsius.
Oh, okay. So like spring and fall weather.
Yeah. I love that weather. That's awesome to play in. I think my very favorite weather to play in is snow. It's
funny because I feel like it's a love it or hate it with that sort of thing because of how insane it is. I just remember even when I was in high school, that it just was like you go to hit the guy at this, you'd see feet sliding all over. It was a mess. It's like, okay, we're not doing any inside runs for the rest of the night because no one understands where the hell they're going. Like no one can get a grip on anything.
Yeah.
It's funny because now that you mention that, a couple of years ago, Regina, I think, hosted it, 2 years ago, Carter, if I'm not mistaken, in between our years of hosting the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played in Regina in, like, the later half of the season. We're talking, like, October, November. But apparently, out in there, it's like, Carter, mistake me, you guys out west, you guys get, like, the dry cold, right?
Very much so. Because especially with because I can really speak towards mostly in Winnipeg. Some people will kind of think because we have Lake Winnipeg and Lake Manitoba that we'll sometimes get a bit of that. It's like, no, not really. It's north. We don't get any of that humidity. It gets picked up and carried eastward. We get none of it. And so we get this very dry cold. And because it's the prairies, we don't have any winds. That wind, when it gets going, it just keeps going and going and going and going, and there's nothing to stop it. And so it gets ridiculous. Like even if we're talking cold games, that I've attended. I even remember, I think it was 2021. They had to start the CFL season late because of kind of the second wave of the pandemic. They were still able to play, but they had to start, I think, a month later than they would have planned. And so that meant that we were hosting the West Final that year. The West Final was in December. And so I get to the seat and I'm in snow pants, I'm in a hoodie, and I got a little bit on my arms, but I mean Rick knows that I can go out in the middle of -30 with shorts on. I'm that crazy son of a bitch Canadian. I really am. And so I get to my seat and I'm clearing the snow off. There's probably about a foot and a half of snow on my seat. And under my seat, it is just all snow. There is nothing you can put under. It's just a wall, because they were able to, shovel some of it out. But they were primarily getting the field and all that, because that's what they really need to play with. And it's such a ridiculous experience that is. It was like I think it was the Buffalo Bills last year when you took a look at what they had there, and the touchdown, you just see the snow flying behind it. It was kind of like that on a bit of a smaller scale.
No,
but what I was trying to say was, back then, it was -35 with the wind chill. And we have a friend that went to that game, and he's like, "Oh my lord! It's so freezing. People are trying to sit there with heaters on the sidelines."
Yeah. The team store doesn't get much sales at halftime because everyone's just going in there to warm up.
Oh
so,
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
kind of a crazy thing in that regard.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
it's like Wyoming. It would snow, which I think that's kind of why I like the snow, is because in Wyoming it would snow for our home games quite a bit, and we weren't allowed to wear sleeves or anything like that. So when it's cold, I will never ever wear sleeves, nothing like that at all. I'll do a turtleneck underneath. That's it. But I'll get to the heaters on the sideline, and other than that, you just gotta be able to suck it up, because if you wear sleeves, the ball could just slide through, that kind of thing. But in Wyoming, the team store would not do great, but the beer sales would jump through the roof.
Oh yeah.
During snow games, sold out kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, beer sales are always great in Winnipeg at the Rum Hut, if you're able to get through the crowd of beer drinkers to the Rum Hut. That's then you'll get there. Then you'll be able to buy your beer. But I guess talking a little bit about conditions when it comes to field conditions, I gotta ask: turf or grass?
That's a tough one. I think it depends on the turf, but in general,
it is not all the same. It very much differs.
It really isn't. I think obviously grass saves the hammies, saves the knees a little bit more, statistically. But on turf,
and you have to cut it more often.
Yeah, and then on turf though, you can make cuts that you can't make on grass sometimes, if that makes sense.
Yep, that actually makes a lot of sense. I remember, when I played line, what we would do when we would get up when we were playing on turf, I'd be able to put the toe of my foot down and then twist it straight, and the cleat would almost lock into the turf. Where if I lifted my foot, it would actually pull the turf up a little bit before snapping back down. So you can get a lot of grip on turf. And so when you saying kind of when you're turning and whatnot, that makes a ton of sense.
Oh yeah, it's wild. So that one's really tough. I'd say grass, just because it's a lot better on the body.
Yep.
But there are some turf fields that are awesome because you can make almost any cut you want, and it's nice enough to where your body's not getting punished for it.
Yep.
But
also depends on the maintenance of the grass as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it really depends. on, like you said, I think the maintenance of both the turf and the grass, because for the I'm like, well, that grass was way too wet. It should have been on turf. So it kind of depends, I guess. That's a tough one.
Yeah. And I think Rick, you had the next one.
So you can be biased in this however you want, but who is the best character in the locker room from this past season of BC?
Oh.
Gotta put him on the spot.
You can name a few. You don't have to just single out one. You can.
I think obviously all our quarterbacks, BA, Nate, and Chase Bryce. All of them are great quarterbacks. You know, they're able to lead a team. They have all the tools that any quarterback needs. So they did a really good job in the locker room being able to talk to everybody. I think that's really tough. I'd say all the receivers, just because I think the way that they carry themselves, and just being able to have fun with it. At the end of the day, you know, being able to be in the wide receiver room in BC has been a blessing, because we go day in and day out of practice, games, you know, going through new plays, new concepts, and I think we're able to have fun with it. But then if I say the receivers, then I'd say the whole offense, because then, you know, if someone makes a play, whether it's in the game or during practice, and someone starts hitting a dance, everyone's going to start dancing too. And then I'd say the whole defense, because once we start hitting dance, or once they start hitting the dance, you know, it's vice versa, to where everyone starts hitting the dance.
Everyone's got their moment.
Yeah, to where I think, you know, the locker room in BC, it's been great. I think everyone's been super positive. We all want each other to succeed. And at the end of the day, you know, I think we're very tight knit, and everybody is at the end of the day having fun with it, because we know that obviously, like, it's work, but we love what we do. So why wouldn't we, you know, have fun with what we love to do every single day? So it makes it really fun to be able to show up every day and kind of be able to interact with each other and stay friends. You know, it's not just like we show up to work and we're friends for football and it's like, okay, I'll do my job and you do yours. It's, you know, we're friends on and off the field, where after practice we can go hang out and, you know, do whatever. To where I really have been blessed in that aspect, where our locker room was honestly, it was super great being able to hang out with everybody. And there's no, like, you know, in college we would always have cliques kind of within a locker room. Like, these guys, you know, the wide receivers would hang out with each other and the linemen would hang out with each other, to where it was all kind of secluded based on position group, to where here in BC it was really cool, because we're on the same team. Like, we can.
So there was really no cliques.
Yeah, that's good. No cliques. Like, we can go hang out after practice or after a game, and
probably helps on the field as well, having that chemistry.
Yeah, big time. Especially, I think that translates to the field. Being able to, you know, have that chemistry and kind of be on the same page with anything and everything, depending on offense, defense, or special teams.
I see. So we got a few more ones. The first one that we got here, what is your favorite stadium to play in? And one CFL and one not CFL. And if you say BC Place, I will also ask you to pick a different one other than BC Place.
All right, so first,
because obviously you're going to love BC Place. It's your home field.
Yeah. First answer is BC Place. I love it. Fans are awesome. Everybody shows up.
And it's beautiful.
It's a great time. It's unbelievable, the support that's been, you know, coming through those doors, and you definitely hear it during the game. So it's been awesome. BC's for one answer. If I didn't pick BC,
before you answer that, you've played in all stadiums, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I've played in all stadiums. I really don't even want to say this one, but I'd have to say Sask.
It is nice. It's
beautiful. The stadium is unbelievable. I as much as I hate to say it, the playoff game, their fans showed up. They had so much energy. It was super cold for the game, and they still showed up, and they were loud.
Me and Carter were actually there in person when you guys played Saskatchewan this year.
Not the playoff one. The one before that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's like, oh, that one.
Well, no, because what had happened was I've not, outside of my brother's wedding going to Mexico, I've never left Ontario.
Okay.
So it just so happened that weekend, our other buddies, a Toronto fan, they were playing Winnipeg, you guys were playing Saskatchewan the following day. So we flew out the Wednesday.
Saw game in Winnipeg. Drove out
the game in Winnipeg.
The day out of the BC Sask game. Then the next day, drove back to hit the Jets game back in Winnipeg.
One weekend.
Yeah, no, it was just funny because Connor was with us. He was like, wow, you guys are like, the prairie's beautiful. I'm like, well, I'm glad you love it because that's all you're going to see for 5.5 hours in this drive. Like,
no mountains.
No hills. Like, no. Yeah. You see a farm shack that's been abandoned for 35 years, and that's about it.
My favorite moment of the trip, Carter sitting in the driver's seat. What the heck is with no turning left on a red light in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, no, they have signs on the red light saying no turning left on red lights. And I'm thinking, who screwed up that this had to go on why does that have to be there? What? I need to know the backstory. What happened that got us to this point?
Yeah, that's wild, actually.
That in Winnipeg, people in Winnipeg like to do U-turns in every intersection, no matter what.
You have no choice with the way that they design our city.
True.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a bit of a fun one. Now, I'm not sure exactly how you'll answer this, just because this being your second year in the league. But what is the weirdest thing you have ever been asked to sign? Now, I'm going to preface this a little bit by we have received some truly insane answers for this. From on the more mild end, Micah Awe was talking about how he signed a car engine, and a lot of others had done that. From, I think, Gordon White of the Ticats, long snapper, had said that he had to sign a child. From the craziest one being our first one we did a little over 2 years ago with Wayne Smith, former lineman for the Ticats, Argos, and Riders, who said when he was in Saskatchewan and he was at a mall doing a signing that a woman had went up with a pair of, because in Saskatchewan, they got that Rider logo on just about everything when it comes to marketing. Saskatchewan Rough Rider women's underwear, in which he had to sign and said, oh, by the way, this is for my daughter, to which Wayne Smith was horrified that he was possibly a home wrecker. And so I'm just giving you an example of the pure nonsense that we've gotten, not with any expectations of that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that question kills me every time.
I think I haven't had any super crazy ones. I signed.
This includes college, by the way, like anything, not just CFL.
Yeah, I think so. CFL, I'd say there was this. It was like a Darth Vader, or not Darth Vader, but it was like a Star Wars
helmet.
Helmet, and it was actually pretty sweet.
Like one of those stormtrooper helmets or clone.
Yeah.
I know. Actually, I think a guy has a clone helmet at the Lions games. I think I've seen it. The orange. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
That was the one. Oh.
Yeah. So I signed that, and I think that was probably the coolest one. You
got many more years to go, young grasshopper.
I was about to say maybe we'll have to have you on in a few years and ask you it again and see where we're at.
Yeah. I think aside from that, like a baby's forehead was probably the other one.
That's the thing that I never understood is why would you get your body signed? Because it's just gonna come off. Like,
unless there's some people that get
tatted.
I was about to say there's some people that get it tattooed where I understand that one a little bit more, although I have a strange feeling that the baby is not getting it tattooed on their forehead. I feel like that's probably not happening.
So they asked for the forehead, but then I was like, no, I think I'll just sign the arm because I don't need,
She's like, I don't want to get in trouble. Like,
yeah, like mature. I don't think that's a great idea for the forehead, so we're gonna go with the arm.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those things. Every time I go through our list here and I see that question, I just think back like this could be something. But I think that pretty much gets us.
I normally I don't know if you probably can't see it because hold on, let me turn this.
You got to turn the green screen off, Rick, if you want to.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to. No.
I should just leave this in. Just multiple seconds if you just looking to turn the crap off. There we go.
But anyways, I have this.
We can see that.
And it's like for the last 2 years, like every Ticat.
Oh snap!
Has signed it. It doesn't even matter if you're like a former player or like a player. Like
if you touch the field, then you're wearing the jersey.
Yeah, it's got to go on there.
Then it's got to go on.
You got my dog, Giovanni Robinson.
Yeah. I have pictures with him.
There we go. Yeah.
There you go.
6'8" Jamaican.
Yeah.
Played basketball.
Yeah, his story is wild. He's a great dude too.
Anyways, what I was gonna say was, there's a guy that comes to our season ticket holder thing every year with a dresser drawer, and he gets like every like season. So like, I think he has like one more, and every dresser drawer is signed by like each player that year.
That's actually awesome.
There we go. Well, unless Rick, is there anything else you got before I wrap this up here? Or?
Nope, not for me, my friend.
So I guess all I would say, Ayden, if there's anything you'd like to promote, anything like that, the floor is yours. If there's anyone you want to give a shout out to, whatever it is.
Yeah, no. I just appreciate you guys for having me on. This has been awesome. I think you guys got some great questions. I love it. Sorry for any background noise. It's Thanksgiving.
We can easily understand you. You're good.
Yeah. But no, I appreciate y'all. And at the end of the day, I know you guys are Winnipeg and Ticat fans, but go Lions.
It's good. It's gonna be an interesting off season this year. That's for sure.
Yep, yeah, absolutely.
Pretty soon it's gonna be spring and it's gonna be like football season and it's.
Yeah, I'm already seeing the hashtag. Is it spring yet? I'm seeing it thrown out there.
Like, even if you think about it, okay, free agents February, draft is May 5th. 2 weeks later, it's training camp, and then 2 weeks after that, it's regular season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, what I was gonna say is, all those viewers out there, go on to Twitter at Ayden Eberhardt. And go follow our lovely guest.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And you can do that on Instagram as well. Actually, you guys can look in the description down below as I will have them there. So make sure you guys check that out. Ayden, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you being willing to give us some of your time. I know we've had a pretty good time, and we're going to let you get back to your family for Thanksgiving. And, again, just really appreciate you being able to come on, and best of luck in the next season, and go Bombers, because I have to compete there. So best of luck with that.
I appreciate you guys a lot, so thank you guys very much.
Not a problem. And to our viewers that are listening, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell as it helps out the channel a ton. And if you are listening to this on Spotify, make sure you give us 5 stars. Really appreciate all of your support, as it allows me to do the shameless plug that I need in every video. Rick, anything else?
Please don't ask him to beg.
Oh, I will beg. No, I will beg, and I will feel no shame for it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.